What's going on, guys? It's Dubla. Today, we're going to talk about why you should be playing on controller in Fortnite Chapter 2, Season 2. I want to say before the video starts though, if you'd like to support me and be that little extra step that helps me reach my dreams of becoming a full-time content creator, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm not going to ask you to smash that like button or anything like that, unless you actually like the video though. Okay, let's get into it. So I've been playing Fortnite for, since Season 3, since the end of Season 2, beginning of Season 3, and I started playing on mouse and keyboard about that same time. So I had originally played on controller on consoles for the last 20 years or so before I decided to switch to mouse and keyboard, and I really loved learning mouse and keyboard. However, when I look back at it, if I'm going to really be honest, I feel like I made a mistake. I should have been playing on controller all along. I've been playing on controller for the last 12 weeks. Man, it is such a big difference. I feel so much better on it, and it is so much more fun. And I'm gonna give you at least 3 reasons why you should be playing on a controller. Number 1 is that, in my opinion, it's easier to learn. And hear me out on this. So if you've been playing mouse and keyboard for a while, for a number of years, then this doesn't so much apply to you unless you've also played on a console or a controller for a high number of years. So most of us started gaming on console, and I know me especially, I started out with the N64, and that doesn't apply to everyone, but PCs are expensive, and usually you don't start out gaming on a PC on a mouse and keyboard. Lots of people do, but most people don't. And the way a controller is a little bit easier to learn is it kind of separates building and fighting, right? As if you're fighting, like you're switching weapons and you're fighting. If you're building, then all of your builds can be placed on your trigger, so you can run, look around, build, and then when you need to pull out your gun, you switch, and then you're in fight mode, right? So there's not as many keybinds to remember and build muscle memory for. I know this was a huge struggle for me when I started playing on mouse and keyboard, was learning all of the different binds, and I've been playing console on controllers for so many years, literally 2 decades. So when I picked up a controller, it was much easier to just go back to that and start learning again. And I think for most of the casual players in Fortnite, and which makes up most of the community, this was going to hold pretty true of that. You can learn to build a little bit quicker, because now that we have creative mode, you can just go in, work on your mechanics, and go. So I think at a really high level, it can be a little more difficult to pull off some advanced maneuvers on a controller rather than a keyboard. But of course, with enough practice, you can always do it. As we see all the time, there's tons of just really freaking cracked controller pros now that just like, dude, how do you do this on a controller? You're freaking nuts. And we have people like that. So it obviously can be done. But I think for most of us, it is just fine, and you won't ever really need to worry about that level of advanced builds. Number 2. It is insanely more accessible to play on a controller than a mouse and keyboard, because let's say you have your iPhone or your iPad and you're like, man, I want to play some Fortnite. Bring your wireless controller. It's gonna hook up. Like, for example, I play on a Series 1 Xbox Elite controller, so I can take that. I could literally take it to work if I wanted to. I don't, obviously, because that's irresponsible. However, if I wanted to, I could. And so you can play it literally anywhere. You can play it on an iPad, you can play it on an iPhone, on your Android, whatever. And then let's say you go to your buddy's house and he doesn't use the same mouse and keyboard as you do. You can take your controller, hook it up, and still play on his Fortnite if you're like spending the night or hanging out or doing whatever. So it's way more accessible. And with that, I feel like it has to be said that, in my opinion, it's, I think, cheaper to play on a controller than a mouse and keyboard, because if you're looking at just like mid-level equipment, if we do a mid-level keyboard, I'm saying that's like around $50, $50 to $60 is a pretty good mechanical keyboard. That's not too expensive, not too cheap. with a mouse, you're spending 30 to 40 bucks in my opinion. Somewhere around there is like a good mid-range. And then for a mouse pad, you're looking at around $10 to $15. I have a huge mouse mat, so mine was 30, but you can get one that'll do for, 10, 15 bucks for sure. And so we're looking at around 100 to 115, 120 bucks. Now, like I said, this is mid-range, not high-end range equipment. So for a controller to really do everything and really, really have fun with it and not be struggling, I would say that you need like a strike pack to put on the back of your controller, so you can have 2 buttons on the back. That way you can switch mode and jump, and then you can edit with one of your joysticks. So like L3, you can click, boom, edit. That way you don't have to have a third paddle. With those strike packs, I think they're 20 to 30 bucks, and a controller's gonna run you, 40, 50 bucks. So we're looking a little bit cheaper, and that'll put you where you need to be indefinitely. You don't have to buy, you don't have to even get close to buying like an Elite Series 2 controller. They're like 180 bucks, 200 bucks. But of course you can spend that on mouse and keyboard too, easily. I bought 2 Final Mouse Air 58s. I sold them for 200 bucks. Who's gonna, that's 200 bucks just for a mouse. And that's a little bit higher end, and then you can spend 150, 180 bucks on a keyboard, no problem. So that's 400 bucks. I mean, that's insane. So you can get a controller, get the strike pack with a couple paddles, boom, you're set, under 100 bucks, easy. Or you can get, like a Scuff or an Evil controller or whatever, and easily spend 250 bucks with highly customized and all that. But you don't need to do that to play at a high level. And finally, number 3, and my favorite, and what everyone complains about, is the freaking aimbot, baby. It's the aim assist. And I will tell you, I didn't play controller a long time ago. I never played on legacy settings or anything. I only played on linear. But man, it feels so good to get back on the sticks again and just absolutely freaking laser someone. It is the best feeling. And to be honest, it is, if you have any thumbs at all, unless you're just using the completely wrong sensitivity and you just need to slow it down, it is much easier to aim and be consistent with your aim on a controller than a mouse and I'll just say on a mouse. And it is so much fun to do this. And it's not like cheating. I'm definitely not going to say that, but up close in a box, which is the meta right now, is close range fights. It is very rewarding to be able to barrel stuff someone with an SMG, and they're just like, what just happened? And you're like, it's aim assist, baby. I'm on a controller. Feel these joysticks, okay? It is so much fun. I will say it is way more fun and rewarding in my opinion, because when you laser someone, it's seriously, just thinking about it right now makes me want to laugh, and I have so many clips of it that it's just like, what just happened? Because I never experienced, well, it was much more rare to experience something like this on a mouse or aiming with a mouse, and I Kovaxed all the time. And I feel like my aim was pretty good on a mouse, but it's just not the same as on a controller. And I think for the most part, on most situations, it's easier to aim with a controller. There are situations, and I think these more involve higher level playing, that it becomes tricky and a disadvantage sometimes. However, for the most part, and for most casual players, and when I'm just playing casually and chilling, it is so much easier to just point and shoot. And that's probably the biggest reason, is how rewarding and fun it is to play on a controller. And so many people are hating on controller players right now, and it's like, dude, it's not our fault that aim assist works that way. You just have to know how to use it, and when you do use it and you use it correctly and it kind of works for you and you work with it, it's super rewarding. So I can't complain about it. It probably should be a little less than what it is right now, but it's honestly, in my opinion, fair long range, mid range, and up close. It's crazy good. So that's just my top 3 reasons. That's just my opinion, right? If y'all have any other ones, you let me know why you enjoy playing on a controller rather than a keyboard, because I know this is just from my experience. So y'all are gonna have a vastly different experience. But if you are on the fence about switching or just starting and you don't know which one to start with, go with a controller. Just do it. Just give it a month. You know, go into creative, work on your mechanics a little bit, go play Rumble and work on your aim, shoot some people, and immediately you're gonna understand why it's so much fun to use a controller. But guys, that is it. That is all for this video. I am out. I hope y'all have a fantastic day ahead of you. Don't forget to keep it classy, stay positive. There's always a reason to smile, guys. You just gotta find it. See ya.